we talk aviation this morning. Flying, when you talk about taxi, and somehow flying, taking off, landing, you know, somehow. I got a test last week. I got a test last week, and when I had to, from Abuja, do Yola thing very quickly, rest in Yola, and the next day fly back into Abuja. And you know, when you just got, we got some tough landing, very nice. But the same pilot gave us, I have to tell him, gave me a very smooth landing back to Abuja. But you know, I have this phobia for taking off and landing. And let me tell you how I do it. Once we are taking off, I do this and close my eyes quickly. I recite some small prayers anyway. When you are about to land and the plane starts to bring you down, like somebody falling from the cliff, you say some small prayer, and when you get down quickly, you call me down. Okay, let's do aviation this morning. If you can have the details of Mr. Godwin Enike on the screen. Mine is good. Okay, that's the detail of Godwin Enike on the screen here. You can contact him. He's an aviation freak here. And he is going to be guiding us all through. He's been doing this every Monday morning. Somehow, you know how it means. Giving out 30 minutes of your Monday morning. When you say 30 minutes, that is not all the time he's giving out. You have to wake up on time in the morning, rush to Mpape, meet all the traffic around our community here, and ensure that he discusses aviation with you. That's his contact, the telephone number, the email is there, the website, the YouTube channel, and his Twitter handle, and several other platforms. If you call an interface, you can meet him, and he's here on the screen with me, on set with me this morning. A very wonderful morning, sir.
Hi. Well, how was the weekend?
The weekend was fine. It was cool. Yes. We got some multiple rainfall. We got one on Saturday morning, and somehow I told the kids and madam that, look, this morning you're going to be rain this morning, and everyone just saying, oh, you've checked the internet again. And when the rain started about 8:39, okay, you got it right. I told them again there will be rain at about 3-4 a.m. this morning, but the rain came down at about 5 a.m. When I was leaving the house, everyone said, hey, you're not going to go anywhere here. Stay in the house, and maybe flooding on the road and whatever. But somehow I told them, for me to pay your school fees and keep madam afloat, I need to go, go do my job.
Go to work.
All of that here.
Yes.
So I was talking about my experience to Yola, very smooth one. And I think and the plane landed, and someone that was a little shaking told the pilot, hey guy, you landed very strongly, and my heart almost said, okay, I'm coming back tomorrow. He said, okay, he will be the one to take me back from Yola. And when we touched down in Abuja, it was really like a foreign. You know, when this foreign airplane lands, you don't even know you are even landing at all. You just find yourself on the ground. And so, and very sadly for me, I sat by the engine all through, just open your mouth and the whole sound will go to the brain.
But ironically, it's not always safer that you came so smoothly and nicely. It's actually safer when you come in, and because of the traction required to stop the airplane and the need for the airplane to remain stable on the runway.
Quickly, before we hit now, we must talk about news is what is trending, and we must go with the part of what is trending here. The Port Harcourt drift we saw at the weekend. And many persons who don't understand how the aviation sector works, who ought to give kudos to the pilot who left Abuja without rain and was shocked to meet a heavy thunderstorm in Port Harcourt and had to land safely here. Most of us just thought these things don't happen, and many persons took to social media. Well, many of them are saying, we thank God for safe landing, we thank God for everything. Why one or two saying, oh, Nigeria again, and all of that here. What's your take about that?
Two things. One of them might have happened there. I haven't gotten more information about exactly what happened, but based on overshooting, I can tell you either of these two things I'm going to describe right now could have happened there. Number one is the pilot might have come up against a very strong headwind, which disrupted. If you give me that miniature, I will show you something very quickly. You know, when you're coming, you are doing both vertical descent as you're coming, and you are doing a horizontal one. Initially, your nose is exactly this way, and as you are coming, if for any reason, you know, I always tell you that the weather is very treacherous, and the wind you can't trust. It can spin anything at you at any time. If on our approach, when you have set your angle of descent, because it's that angle of descent that terminates you at the threshold of the runway. And then you suddenly find a very powerful headwind coming at you. What it does is it pushes your nose, up. And so the pilot now begins to struggle to get back his slope. Those few seconds of struggling to get back your slope has already disrupted your landing point. So you might find out that more often than not, the plane takes you almost towards the middle of the runway before you are close to the ground. In that case, a mindful pilot would, well, depending again on the weather situation.
But at that point, you must touch down.
Not necessarily. If you are further into the runway, in which case, by your knowledge and experience, you know that you can't stop that airplane before the end of the runway. Your best bet is to pull back, full blast power, pull on your joystick, and soar back into the air and do a turnaround. That's one option. Now, it might have been what the pilot experienced, but rather than go back into the air, he felt that he still had enough room of runway, and then he went on with the landing, and then, of course, soon realized that it was a miscalculation. That's one option that could have happened. I'm not saying that that was what happened there. I'm giving you options of what might have happened. And then the second option will be what is known as hydroplane. Hydroplane. It's a phenomenon that denies the airplane traction on the wheels and no friction. And I explained to you how it happens. When you have a pool of water on the runway, and it's so high, even it happens to cars as well. It's not only aeroplanes that experience that. On
the Cobra Road, when you just drive, just find that
that's correct.
The car shakes, and quickly you try to apply the brake.
Now understand how it works. The hydroplane, that's why you have grooves, all those lines you have in both vehicle and plane tires. What their job is to displace water and keep the tires on the tarred road, so that you have friction and you don't slip out of course. Okay. Now, but if you have them in such volume that those tires fail to displace the water, then they become like boat on water. The tires will now be floating on top of water. In that case, the brakes you are applying, which are supposed to hold the tires from rolling, become useless because you are now floating like a boat, on water. So your mechanical brakes become useless. And of course, even if you put your back thrust is not meant to stop the airplane. It simply means to reduce the momentum, to reduce the speed, so that the mechanical brakes can be more effective. That's what back thrust, does for you. Okay, so it's either the pilot experienced hydroplane, or he had a strong headwind, which disrupted his slope.
Or he did not see clearly.
No. That would not have been it.
I
know that they have a good ILS system. I think Port Harcourt has category 2 there that could just bring you to say about 100 meters or thereabout, and then of course the pilot should be able to use the steer.
Let me ask you now.
Yeah.
But for now, the plane appeared, from what I saw,
yes,
the plane did not actually skid off too far, just within the airport premises,
yes,
and it looks from one or two social media up, and some of the persons who were in the plane,
yes,
the plane did not go too far into the bush, just within just after the runway, within the airport, close to the airport environment there. What should be done now to the plane once it's pulled out?
It will, of course, they'll have to tow it. They'll have to tow it back into the runway. Especially if the tires are stuck in such a way that it cannot possibly help itself. Okay. Otherwise, some airplanes, I don't know the model they took there. Some of them have capability of using that same back thrust kind of operation to do a reverse on their own. Others are not designed to reverse. You can only tow them in a reverse fashion. You engage the tow vehicle in front of it, facing it, and then it pushes it all the way back. And then once it gets on the runway and nothing went wrong with the engines, and the pilot will simply make a turn and head back. And of course, because of the rough movement he did on the untarred portion of where he went to, some checks will be done to make sure that it didn't disrupt or misalign some things in the system. Definitely, that plane will be checked before it can take back into the air and certified to be safe, to get back into the air.
Okay.
But basically, what I've just explained to you are the two possibilities that could have overshot that landing. A possible headwind disrupting the slope and taking you beyond your threshold, or hydroplane, because I understand it was raining, and so hydroplane is more likely to be the culprit. The tires would have been floating on top of water.
It was really a very, very heavy downpour.
So it's most likely to be hydroplane would have been the culprit in this case. So the tires couldn't displace water completely off the runway and then began to float. And in that case, no more traction, no more friction. So the brakes you're applying, useless. And
okay, but thank God no life was lost. Somehow those things happen around. Sometimes I know I had been in Port Harcourt from 2006, where I couldn't fly because of the Harmattan haze. I had to go get a pause because the haze was for about only 2 or 3
As
flights.
soon as we get ILS Category 3C system around Nigeria and have planes, upgraded to comply with the Category 3, we'll stop talking about this Harmattan haze stuff, because technology has taken care of all these. We just have to invest money and do what is right, eschew corruption in the system and do what is appropriate. And I'll tell you, in less than 4 years, Nigerians will begin to have fun. We have skillful pilots in this part of the world, very skillful, and not just only skillful, people who are disciplined. You better believe it. We have more disciplined individuals flying in this part of the world than in the Western world. A whole lot of people misbehave in the Western world. A whole lot of them. Yeah.
Okay, let's come on. What are we talking today?
We are dealing with how international aero politics is killing the Nigerian aviation sector, and then setting agenda for the next Minister of Aviation. This is part one we're going to be dealing with. And I must quickly let my viewers know that this came up from the interview that the CEO of Air Peace gave to Punch newspaper, last week, and I went through it and I was thrilled. A lot of exposition there. Practically nothing left out in letting us know what the aviation sector, the excruciating time the aviation sector is going through in Nigeria and what's responsible for them. And I just thought this should be amplified and this should be brought to the knowledge of Nigerians and to the knowledge of government, just in case somebody missed out reading that, so that we can do what we have to do. Remember, our mission is to have our aviation sector better and better, and we are seeking perfection. That's what we're doing. And so here we go. So let's
hit the ground.
Hit the sky flying.
Preamble.
Yeah. Are we there with clip one? Wonderful, wonderful. Now, preamble. The Nigerian aviation sector is currently going through an excruciating hard time due to numerous factors bedeviling it. In an interview granted by the Chief Executive of Air Peace Airlines, Chief Allen Onyema, to Mr. Oyetunji Abioye of the Punch newspapers last week, Chief Allen Onyema left no stone unturned in identifying, all the factors keeping down Nigerian airlines, past and present. I was so moved and touched by the facts exposed in that interview that I thought it should constitute the agenda for the next Minister of Aviation if we are really serious about developing and strengthening the aviation sector in Nigeria. Can we go to clip 2 very quickly? Thank you very much. Ingredients for success. Airline business is naturally risky. However, success is achievable if the management of an airline can imbibe the following virtues. 1, the management of the airline must have integrity. 2, there must be financial prudence and discipline. 3, diversion of money from the airline business to another business must not be allowed.
Why?
Oh, well.
Why is your business? If you feel you have done enough in the airline business, you can pull fund and push it somewhere.
The airline business is very jealous. Very jealous.
Is that not superstition?
No. The airplanes, at all times, you must put away a minimum of 40% of all the gross takings because those airplanes will demand them. As we go on, maybe during part 2 and part 3, okay, you will see how much these airplanes go up in order to keep us safe in the skies. And so if you begin to move funds to other investments rather than consolidating and acquiring more planes to be more competitive, then you're likely to fall out of the way. And that's exactly what has happened to a lot of airlines that folded in this country. You hear quite a lot, and all the conspiracy, the international conspiracy, that Nigeria is not responding to yet. I hope the next minister that will come will be a tough one that will stand up to the world and say Nigeria first. I hope that's the kind of minister we're going to be looking forward to.
Let's hope we got that.
Yeah. So let's move on. Number 4. Workers and airline management must be dedicated. 5, the airline must desire and determine to make a difference. 6, the airline must desire to be a good ambassador of Nigeria. 7, the airline must desire to launder Nigeria's image internationally. Those are the ingredients for success. Okay. As we go on, maybe we're not going to see everything in this part 1. Okay. Next week we'll see more and see why all these factors must be respected if you want to be successful. Okay, let's go to clip 3 very quickly, please. Challenges faced by Nigerian airlines. Lack of capacity. This is where the issue of diversion of money comes. If you don't have enough airplanes to meet up with the demands of your customers, then be sure you're going to run out of business. And if you don't have enough airplanes to be able to send some for checks while others are still flying, then you're going to be grounded. And if people have booked online and you disappoint them, they get disgusted with you and they stop patronizing you, and the next thing is death of the business. So,
that's correct.
So, yeah.
A particular plane got so famous some 5 years ago, and so far that's so famous.
With brand new airplanes.
Everyone wants to travel. So much advert, insufficient plane.
And before you know it, they went kaput. And so here we go. Lack of capacity. They usually do not have enough planes to meet the demands of the teeming flying public. Number 2, lack of success on the international routes due to dirty international aero politics. That is another horrible one. The next minister must stand up to the world and must bear it in mind, Nigeria first, and begin to renegotiate some of these things, and then tit for tat. If foreign countries do the wrong thing to our airlines, we do exactly the same thing to them, so that they learn.
Do we have the capacity for such global struggle here? We are not a massively flying nation compared to some other part of the world here. If we want to start to flex muscle,
no, you're wrong.
And you know,
you're wrong. We fly a lot. Nigeria is the most lucrative route in the world. Nigeria, the most lucrative route in the world. That's why all airlines are jostling to be in Nigeria, and that's why when they are in Nigeria, they don't want Nigerian airlines to participate, because they want to be reckoning all the money. Nigerians are travelers. Nigerians are very mobile. more mobile than anyone. Yes, more mobile than anyone in the world. More mobile than anyone in the world. And so the likes of British Airways, the likes of what was the name of the UAE Qatar. One? I'm not even talking about Qatar now. Emirates, the like of Emirates, and then one of the African ones, the likes of Ethiopian Airlines, the South African Airline, Kenyan Airline, and the rest of them. They are busy raking huge sums of money out of Nigeria. Nigeria remains the most lucrative route in the world, and we must support our own and be sure that, and by the way, how many of Nigerians are these airlines have just called employing? No, we must support ours to grow up to this capacity and then begin to employ Nigerians.
But that's not traveling. The travelers are not thinking like you. What they think about is their safety first. Once an airplane cannot meet them, we got one local plane, one of our local airline operators, that at a certain point from 6 years ago, that same airline was flying London, flying somewhere. People were enjoying it, but when I had to fly from here to Dakar, Senegal, I went through hell. A journey that would take me about 5 hours. I spent about a day or two when the plane had to connect to Ghana. From Ghana, stayed about 6 hours, 4 hours or so on the ground before connecting to
these factors that you just mentioned.
You mentioned them.
Yeah, so those were the reasons that those happened, and why we are exposing these things right now, and why we are charging the next Minister of Aviation that will be taking charge that, listen, you've got to do all you've got to do to fix ours, and be sure that we stand up to the world and begin to have a piece of the cake. But Nigeria is a massive cake. Unfortunately, we are not having a piece of it. And the whole world is coming here having chunks of it, and we are here. Not even the crumb under the table reaches us, and we are saying no. We've got to do what we have to do to put an end to this, and then create employment and have once again happy young Nigerians working any money and happy. Let's move on. So I've said lack of capacity as number one. They usually do not have enough planes to meet the demands of the teaming flying public. Number two, lack of success on the international routes due to dirty international aero politics. Number three, little or no access to credit. That again, they are not. Well, the point is that those that operated in the past were also irresponsible, and we must admit they were not paying back. I mean, I heard Chief Allen Onyema of Air Peace. He hasn't paid for this advert, but I am not advertising him. I am telling the truth, and then ensuring that we have better, aviation arena in Nigeria. And that's what this whole essence of this program, we are desirous to put in our bid to make sure that things are going right. And when we see what is going wrong, we scream to the high heavens and make sure, like somebody called me last night and said, God, do you know beautiful uniformed officials are now milling around doing some work in the parks in the airport? It was as a result of the noise you made about how they mishandled you and stuff like that. So good luck to them. They will still be in court anyway. So that's where we are. So little or no access to credit, responsibility to your bank. When they give you money, you pay back, they give you more. You pay back, they give you even more. You pay back, they give you even more. The banks are in business to make profit from the money they are lending to you. But if they give you money and you fritter the money away and use it for some irresponsible personal activities, and business is falling rather than rising, they won't give you more. Correct. So those were the history of the past. But we are hoping that somebody will change all those, and then we have a better system, going on. Now, number four, foreign countries are usually hesitant in granting landing rights to Nigerian airlines. That is another terrible one that the next minister will fight. Politics. Yeah, that's the aero politics going on internationally. Now, foreign governments deliberately stifle Nigerian airlines in order to prevent them from competing with their own airlines in the huge and lucrative Nigerian market. That's where we are. Clip 4 very quickly. We're there. The challenges faced by Nigerian airlines continue. Chief Allen Onyema, CEO of AP's airline, rhetorically wondered if any Nigerian had imagined why Nigerian airlines have been unable to continue flying West Coast. In fact, our West Coast of Africa here. We can't even fly because of dirty, aero politics.
Arik flew at certain point.
And stopped. So that's why the language is unable to continue. That means we were, but we couldn't continue because we couldn't handle the pressure coming out from there, which unfortunately we have not been matching, over here. We should have the mentality of Nigeria first. And if you hit my airline, I'll hit your airline. Correct. And so we come back to the table.
The Trump and China game.
That's correct. That's correct. That's why I admire that man. I really admire President Trump. I admire him a lot. And so that's what we need in Nigeria, because we are a huge nation, but we underestimate ourselves. Now, so let me get on with this. Rhetorically wondered if any Nigerian had imagined why Nigerian airlines have been unable to continue flying West Coast and other African regions. Here are the reasons he enumerated. Now I'm quoting Chief Onyema of Air Peace Airline. Now, airport charges there are exorbitant and discriminatory. So when they charge their own airline little, they charge ours, exorbitantly, and making the route unprofitable for us, and of course discouraging us from going on there. That has to be put to an end. And then Air Peace in just 1 year lost 1.2 billion naira flying west coast of Africa. Can you imagine that? They were flying at a loss, and they
had to stop.
No, they kept up the faith, and they're saying they're not going to stop. They continue to be losing money, but they're hoping that if anything happens,
they'll break through.
If necessary, the man even threatened that if necessary, they will go to court to ensure that they get a court order that will stop some of the nonsensical things going on out there. When their own airlines come into Nigeria, they get punished, until they learn to behave well. So that's the way. That's what the man said in that interview. I read through it graphically, and I can tell you that I'm quoting him correctly. Now, C, ground handling companies in those countries give discriminatory and spurious charges. Can you believe that, Arthur? Then D, overflying charges in those countries are also prohibitive. Then E, our airlines pay them both for passengers they bring in and those they take out. Can you imagine? When you are supposed to be paying for only bringing in, but when you take out, you shouldn't pay, or either of the two. But they are charging us for both. But here, they enjoy virtually, free movement. That has to be put to an end, Arthur. This is a huge, great nation, and nobody will respect us if we don't respect ourselves and begin
absolutely correct.
Very well. Clip 5, please. Is there already? We are continuing with challenges faced by Nigerian airlines. So F. Okay. Why Nigerian airlines suffer discriminatory and prohibitive charges in the African West Coast region? Their own airlines, and I'm talking about the other countries, have red carpets rolled out for them whenever they are in Nigeria. Can you imagine? Yes, they say we are very friendly people, very hospitable, big brother, but we've got to put an end to it. We can't afford it anymore. Okay. We've got to stop it.
Okay.
Some of the foreign airlines stop in Nigeria. Can you imagine? But Nigerian airlines cannot stop in their countries, as charges for that we simply slaughter the Nigerian airlines. They come in here, get the red carpet, stop, load passengers, and go make all the money. But when our own airlines go over there, they charge you virtually every penny or every dollar you collected for that trip in the name of stop charges. That is totally unacceptable. We've got to put an end to the nonsense. I mean, we can't go on this way as a nation, as a people. Now, H. Poor airport infrastructure, such as ones needed for night flights, contribute to the problems of our airlines. I, minimum flying hours for success in the aviation industry is 18 hours. This is according to Onyema, Chief Onyema. But in Nigeria, only, he actually said between 7 and 9 hours are available due to lack of night flight infrastructure. So we need to invest more money to make sure that we fly possibly around the clock. I remember in the U.S. I had made a 30-minute journey from Houston to Dallas, at about 3 a.m. And as a matter of fact, flights from Houston to Dallas are every 1 hour. It's only 30 minutes. Every 1 hour, there's a flight moving. And the people are flying round the clock. I had landed in Dallas at 3 a.m. local time in the U.S., hopping across from Houston to Dallas to see a brother-in-law of mine. And so we can do that in Nigeria. It's all just a matter of investment, and we get it going, and then airlines will rake in more money and be happier. Now, J, high cost of aviation fuel, minimum of 250 per liter, contribute to the problems of Nigerian airlines. Can we do the last clip for the day before they chase me away here with Koboko?
That's good.
Right. K, elsewhere, aviation fuel constitute 40% of operational cost, but in Nigeria it is 70%. Awful, isn't it? L, cost of maintenance of airplanes abroad is killing. For instance, ferrying of an empty airplane to USA for a C check costs about $200 US. That's an equivalent of 72 million naira. Just to fly the empty plane, to go and deliver it for C check or whatever, or rubber check.
You've not paid for the maintenance.
I'm going to tell you that now. You spend 72 million naira just for that trip alone. And then, that is in fuel cost and overfly charges, because every nation you overfly on your way to the U.S., you must pay some money in accordance with their. Then the C check will cost approximately 2.5 million US, which is about 900 million naira, just to do that C check. Why can't we have a MRO in Nigeria? I mean, those maintenance and repair, overhaul, service stations. We can afford this, and we can train our smart young whiz kids, to begin to do these jobs. There's no magic about this, and there's no, rocket science, required. It's about training and getting people to know what it is, and young girls and young boys, and you see that these things will be domiciled in Nigeria. More jobs will be created. Our foreign exchange will be saved. So can somebody think through it and begin to do something? M, multiple charges is another problem. An average ticket sold in Nigeria consists about 37 charges embedded in it. A 23,000 naira ticket sold by an airline delivers only about between 9 to 10,000 into the coffers of the airline. The rest go to spurious charges. This is how we're killing our airlines. So this has been exposed. A lot of my viewers and listeners don't know this before now. Now you know. Government, in case somebody somewhere is pretending in the Ministry of Aviation that they're now aware this is going on. Now you've heard directly from the horse's mouth.
We need to protect our own. We need to
can we do something?
Protect local car operators,
yes,
and get them running well.
Nobody will fix this nation for us. I tell you this all the time, Arthur. No one will fix this nation. And a good nation will never fall from the skies. We must fix our nation. I'm doing my bit. I hope every Nigerian finds some space somewhere. Do your bit. These things will add up and give us the great nation we are looking for. A great nation will never fall from the skies.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Godwin NEK. A big, great nation won't fall from the sky. That's his details there. If you had followed through and you want to contact him, you can do so. Just snap this one so that you can take time to write them out. Contact him and let's do this together. Our skies must be saved. Like Mr. Godwin NEK will always tell me here, the aircraft are faithful machine. It's just human error. And also, if we must grow the sector and we must become big players here, we must dictate to the global aviation community what happens. Then we must also make ourselves very vital at the international scene. And when we do that in the League of Nations, we're going to be real big guys, real big brothers, and we're going to tell the world how we do it. The Koreans have done that here. Those in the Middle East are doing theirs somewhat here. The Australians have done theirs here. Even those in Southern America are also doing that and are telling the West that, hey guys, we just need to talk
Malaysia.
South Africa is even
Malaysia.
Ethiopian Air is ensuring that all the passengers fly into Addis Ababa before you reconnect. And that's something. Let's say thank you for coming.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's let you go back.
Thank you.
Enjoy your wet morning here at the best of what you can get. It's been a wonderful time here, particularly discussing and talking about what happened in Port Harcourt. So most of you who don't understand, don't go insult our nation. It happens everywhere in the world. It's not a Nigerian thing.
It does.
Just go check the internet here. It happened in the US. It happened most times in even Russia.
What's one, Stephen?
What's one? Snow. What's one? It won't happen than that.
Yeah.
So don't think because the rain has scared up the runway, it's a Nigerian problem. No, it's not here. where the pilot even tried his best.
However, Port Harcourt runway has been quite notorious, with this hydroplane thing. This is not the first. But we need to do something. We can really have runway that drains away immediately. It rains, no matter how much rain that falls down.
Like
we can have, yes, we can have them. We can have them. So somebody should really sit up, get serious, and get some good job done there. I mean, this is one too many. This kind of hydroplane thing has happened severally. You remember there was once one of the airlines also overshot the runway because of hydroplane, and so it shows that something's wrong with the surface of our runway, and we must put an end to it.
Okay, thank you very much. We continue to discuss next week Monday. 8 a.m. we will be here again to talk aviation. Every Monday, follow us through Mr. Godwin NK. Say, look, I'm committed to this. For those who are flying in the sky, for takeoff, for taxi, for takeoff, for cruise, and for landing, you're going to be safe here. Even when you're disembarking, all of this, we are touching on this, and we'll continue with the very dangerous politics that our airline operators, the local guys, have to go through. Wish you all the very best.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
We'll take a break now. When we return from the break, the program the program this morning on ITV would continue, and we will be looking at several other issues within the context of what will benefit every one of us. So I'm busy. Will be joining me.